Sup, everyone? Happy holidays for all of you. Even though Christmas is over for me personally. And yeah, it is actually a Sunday, and I normally don't stream on Sundays. But it happens. Cody the Dark Hog was actually here earlier, but before I started, but he came and left. Came and left. So he is probably have some technical issues. At least I have this crazy maniac with me.
I am not crazy, nor am I a maniac.
Well, did you even see the Animaniacs?
Yeah, I've seen them.
Well, you're a maniac.
I'm a maniac to have seen the show. Hooray! Who
Did you
would
see
have
the
known it?
Did you see the reboot?
A couple episodes, yeah.
I haven't. Never will. They since they actually whoa. Okay.
Sorry,
they
the phone has to stay on today, so
yeah, that's understandable. I mean, the Animaniacs they never actually they didn't put much in this some of the new how to say some of the older characters in the new reboot. Like this. I tell you, he's a giant chicken. I tell you, he's a giant chicken. Like that. Oh, okay. Someone here.
Hey guys, it's me, Retro.
Oh, wonder who that was.
Yeah. Yeah. I've been, relaxing all day. We just got done eating dinner. So, waiting on Dad to come.
So, Retro Gamer, have you seen the Animaniacs by any chance?
I used to watch that show when I was a kid a long time ago.
Have you seen the reboot?
No.
Me either. I mean, like I told Game Guy that one of the from the old version, the old series, they had this like, I'll tell you, everyone, he's a giant chicken. He's a tiny giant chicken, like that. It's like had this giant chicken dressed as a person or something. Yeah, that older series was probably better than the new one. Have you seen DuckTales?
Yeah, the very original series.
Did you see the reboot?
No. I heard from a lot of people that it sucks.
Pretty much, yeah. It was not as much as the originals. I can tell this. Even though we knew that Donald Duck had a twin sister named Della, which is the mother of the triplets, the nephews. Um, in the original comic series or like that, he he takes in his nephews after they put their own father in a hospital after putting a fireworks under his chair. But in the new
wow.
the 20 yeah, and the 2017 version of DuckTales is Scrooge and Della and Donald. They used to travel around the world together as explorers, treasure hunters, until Della she took one of the Scrooge most recent ship and flew out into space. And he was willing to spend more than half of his own finance in order to find her until his financial advisor stopped him. And that she was
Oh,
on the moon the whole time. She was literally on the moon the whole time. And that the only difference that Webby in the new version, she wasn't Mr. Speak granddaughter at all. She was actually Scrooge clone slash daughter. and that she was named April at first, but then she has two other twin sisters, exact copy, named May and June. I was like,
Oh wow.
yeah. I mean, and even yeah, it's really complete difference based on the original 1987 to 1990 version of the DuckTales. But yeah, it's like I mean, I don't mind to watch some of the other older. Yeah, but like I said, some of the original
Have
shows
you
have
heard they're bringing back Gargoyles, the Disney show Gargoyles?
what?
Yeah,
Seriously?
they're rebooting Gargoyles.
Is it live action?
Huh?
uh,
Is it live action? I'm asking.
No, it's animated. It's gonna be on Disney XD.
Is it CGI?
holy, holy moly!
Huh?
So how about CGI? Is it CGI?
No, it
Um,
isn't. It's
Huh.
normal animation.
about that, I actually heard there was some rumors talking about this supposed to be a movie about us, and there were proposed ideas for several. There were actually several spin-off
Tamers Dark.
series on the Gargoyles.
Tamers Dark.
Game guy,
Yeah.
have you seen the Gargoyles?
In real life, yes. The show, no.
Yeah, this is actually not a bad show. I mean, it's the only thing is that the Gargoyles or the Chronicles that was considered as season 3 wasn't really much canon, and I have seen the show and it's really amazing. The good series actually. I believe you can actually see most of those episodes on YouTube by now. I believe that there were some talks about making it as a movie. I believe in this actually is the gargoyles are actually predates the humans in the series, and they can live almost twice as long as a human. But they don't, and they also age half as much as humans do, due to the fact they sleep during the daytime. I think um, come on, they actually made a lot of comics about this. I think it's also available on Netflix. No, sorry, Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I believe there's actually a website based on this. Let's see. Come on, where is it? Yeah, it says here. Um, both the series and the spin-off were initially continue the Gargoyle comic series. Huh.
I'm gonna get going, guys. Later.
There.
Uh,
Have a good Christmas.
It says also here that the Gargoyles in 2022, new canonical comics will be published by Dynamite Entertainment. That's kind of cool. I mean, I never actually saw this series on TV actually, since I don't even know that they even broadcast in Sweden at the time, since the show was originally on TV between let's see see between October 24th, 1994 to May 15th, 1996. Our first season rebranded as the Goliath Chronicles, and but this season is not considered as canon. And a lot of the things in this was actually involves William Shakespeare, King Arthur, Norse mythology, and all that kind of stuff in it. So I'm not honest to see that. In terms that Cody was kicked out from StreamYard. Technology, isn't it great?
Isn't it great? Uh,
Well, it turns out Kubo is online.
Kovu, the bad boy. I can't believe it. I actually can't believe it. He must have gone back home.
Yeah, so well, uh, was there any other cartoon shows that you grew up watching that you were much a fan of?
Wait, we're not a fan of, or was a fan of?
You were a fan of?
I can understand. Let's see. SpongeBob's obvious. Fairly Odd Parents. Trying to think. And I can't really remember anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the early '90s, but I actually remember to watch a lot of series on Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, and this was way before any Disney Channel, Disney Plus was even basically this was way before streaming was even a thing actually. I mean, when it comes to cartoons on Nickelodeon, were um, Hey Rocco Smart and Live. Um, what else would I see? Scooby Doo. Uh, I even saw a lot of different shows that were also cartoon, but those were way before my time. Like say from the could have been from the '80s, early '90s. Like say um, Denver, the Last Dinosaur, which is a good show. I haven't seen that in years. The Smurfs, the original cartoon version. That was actually even best of all of them. Altogether, based on this new one they made. Um, Winnie the Pooh. I actually saw that one. Um, Timon and Pumbaa spin-off cartoon show. It was kind of actually fun. And there was a 180 show that was only for only 1 year. I think it was 1985. Were Diamond Riders. Yeah, actually, like I said, I saw a lot of different shows, and I even saw a lot of even other live action shows from the late '90s into the early 2000s, like say Keenan and Kel, Nickelodeon. Um, who else? Cousin Skeeter was also um, on the Nickelodeon. Skeeter was actually a puppet, and he claimed that he was a friend almost any celebrity in the world that he saved. It can have been like say, could have been Eddie Murphy, could have been, The Rock, basically anyone. And Then there were other shows that I also did watch over the years. Say, um, there were one, there were one show that I did watch. Um, come on, what was my friend Alan? I believe was his name of the series. This was actually on Nickelodeon. Believe it's like yeah, but I even watched a lot of other shows like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, the live action version, and the cartoon version, the first one they made. I mean, I have seen a lot of different shows over the years. I saw one that's to me doesn't make no sense whatsoever, which were King of Pears, which on Disney Channel. Twin brothers, one white, one black. Turns out they were they're the one next in line on the tropical island. But then I think the white brother he left the island, and another king from a different island that he later sank by pulling the plug under for it. Turns out he was the long lost triplet brother. I was like, two white brothers and white and one black. Turns out the mother was black and the father was white. Huh. I was like, what? But yeah, King of Pairs, a pair of kings. It wasn't really that much as a good enough, to be honest. I just watched it for just to be entertained in some way. And the later saw Scooby Doo shows like Scooby Get a Clue or what was his name? What was his name again? Mr. Incorporated. When they were living in Crystal Cove, Scooby Doo. Yeah, that version of Scooby Doo wasn't even that good at all. I was like, what? And having this interdimensional being is responsible for Shaggy, Fred, Daphne, Velma, and Scooby, all of them to be as friends as from originally, in a way to free this to in a way to liberate this entity that was buried way underneath the Crystal Cove, and that this entity had also influenced other previous people or groups to in a way to free him. But and and the reasons why that Scooby can talk, it turns out that he is a direct descendant of one of those interdimensional creatures, and that he has a lifespan twice as longer than even normal dog and a human. In fact, I honestly, Scooby Doo Get the Word Mystery Incorporated wasn't even one of the best at all. Honestly, it was probably if I say on a scale of 1 to 10 as a good, I would say 0. It wasn't even that good. But the original Scooby Doo from 1969 and onwards, they were probably even better, at least from that novel. But they were not like the same cartoon versions style. One I didn't see were Scooby and Shaggy were looking for one of his uncles, Shaggy's uncles, and yeah, I never saw much of that, and I didn't even like this sort of what I saw the first time though. Um, that one was also not good at all, and honestly, I don't even care about that one. To be honest, a puppy named Scooby Doo, that was a classic. Um, but Game Guy, did you even grow up watching over the Hanna-Barbera's shows by any chance?
A few, yeah.
Did you see Yogi the Bear? Anyone? Any by any chance?
Think so.
There is actually one that on one of the shows that involves in that is what was his name again? Jetson family, taking place in the mid 21st century. That show was actually not that bad, to be honest. I remember there were actually one. Oh, hey, Smith, Super Deadeye of the West. Hello, howdy. Um, but the only one of the Jetson family series that I actually enjoyed, even as a kid, when Jetson family used Elroy's machine, transported them back in time to meet the Flintstones family. They traveled to Stone Age. Oh my god, that was a funny movie. And the Flintstones. I mean, the original series, it was actually a classic. Even though the first live action of a Flintstones movie they made, I believe it was in the 90s. Okay, that one was actually not that bad, honestly. But I am surprised any of that. I mean, shows to this day are not the same. They don't have the same spirit. They don't have the same quality as those from the 90s, from the 80s, and onwards. And I'm probably not the only one who actually agrees with me on that one, since a lot of shows from when they grow up in their, saying their late, maybe it's from early to late 80s and early 90s, but there were a lot of great shows from that time frame. Like Scooby Doo, um, what else? Not Sonic, but I believe there was sometime in the 90s the Super Mario Bros. TV show was actually on TV. Even though I didn't see much of it, but based on I've seen, it seems to be a decent show. I mean, a lot of the cartoon shows over the years, they don't have the same spirit in it. I mean, like say Rocco's Model Life that was on Nickelodeon once. It was actually a good show. A lot of shenanigans, and honestly, there were actually one surprising enough. This actually was came out only a few years ago. That they actually made a TV special of Rocco's Modern Life. That he and Heifer in this and the turtle friend, they came back to Earth after 20 years in space in a rocket. I was like, whoa. I mean, did you even see Rocco's Modern Life by any chance?
A few episodes, yeah.
What did you think of it though?
It was alright.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of shows from the back in the 80s and 90s that were actually even a lot better. Okay, this might be a bit sort of a bit shocking or maybe hilarious, but I believe it was in the 90s. This was actually a an English cartoon show about a boy named Eric. He had a double secret life. He was known as the Banana Man. Yeah, this boy transformed as a superhero by eating a regular banana and transformed himself to this superhero themed as Banana Man, like having shoes, gloves shaped as bananas. I was like, oh man, okay, oh boy, that was just hilarious. Another one, Count Dracula. Have you seen that one?
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, I never saw it much myself on TV, but I have seen Count Dracula on YouTube actually, several couple of episodes. But uh, honestly, I wasn't really much a fan of it. But at least, hey, I don't mind to watch the '90s cartoons. But honestly, if Malachite was here, he probably agreed on me though that some of the original Thomas and Friends was probably even better than new ones. I mean, I actually grew up watching some of the original Thomas and Friends, but later those were CGI versions, not as much as I had hoped to see. Um, yeah, there actually had even been over the years there had been a lot of Star Wars cartoon series, like the original Clone Wars that was from 2003. I think it was maybe just 1 hour special. The Clone Wars, mm, not bad, not bad at all. But the same is the Star Wars actually had a droid show. This was based on C-3PO and R2. Um, I believe it was actually in the 70s or late 70s and early 80s. It is actually available right now on Disney Plus, among many other Star Wars movies and franchise. But I haven't even seen much of it myself. But it seems to be okay though. And they even had one Christmas special movie from the 1977 actually. And you know, I actually saw it once. But there was only one. Have you seen Bad Batch
Nope.
of the Star Wars? Oh boy, I will tell you that is it's actually quite a recent show they actually made of Star Wars, and I believe it's the second or third season. It's gonna be released sometimes early next year. And the first season of Mandalorian will be on next year on Disney Plus. See the first season, and I'll tell you, it's pretty good actually. Even despite it's as part of canon timeline, which I not considered as the real timeline, but this is supposed to be Baby Yoda or Grogu, which is actual name. After first season's ending, when he went along with Luke to train as a Jedi, I was like, well, since he became one of Luke's students, now the question is, what happened to him after? Since in the seventh movie, they Ben Solo, or as also known as Kylo Ren, at the time, he destroyed the New Order, and every other survivor, other Jedi's or Padawans, they also called, they were all killed. That was like, would that be the same thing as for Grogu? I would have had known, because Grogu at the time was as appeared as an infant or like a baby, as but yeah, that's like really that's really crazy to be if you ask me though. And since um, He would have been Grogu would have been 69 years old at the time if the um, at the time of the New Order's fell, and he was active 50 years old when he went to train as a Jedi. He would have been considered as a full-grown adult at age 100, and he belonged to the same species as Yoda. And his species are is actually among the very few long-lived, which has about 900 years. But if you saw the Clone Wars, the cartoon from 2003 version of this, with the Separatist bounty hunter or commander Dirge, the one that has like tentacles. Did you see it on?
Nope.
Oh yeah, but anyways, he actually belongs to a really long-lived species. He's part of this species known as Jedi, and they have a lifespan between 4,000 to 7,000 years. And they don't even have a single bone in the body. According to legend sources, he spent 50 to almost 60 years buried underground to regenerate. And he actually was having, at one time, he was actually trained as to become a bounty hunter, and his mentor slash master or friend was murdered by a Mandalorian. And that made his hatred towards the Mandalorians. And the Mandalorians are not just one single species. They can be multiple ones. They can be like a Wookiee, can be a human, can be a Hutt. Basically, any species could be embraced this Mandalorian lifestyle. And he murdered almost any single Mandalorian he came across. Well, if he actually knew that they were Mandalorians. But when he was hired by the Separatists, by the Count Dooku, a former Jedi Master, he had told this Dirge that the Grand Army Republic was all Mandalorian, while clones of one Mandalorian named Jango Fett. And it's like, okay. And it's like, since they were based on one Mandalorian, and they made thousands, almost millions of him as clones, and like, he gonna have his revenge for killing any single Mandalorian clones that he encounters. That was weird. But then only the sci-fi about his people, Dirge, that he's a bounty hunter, but his people, Jindai, they're a peaceful one. They don't even embrace wars or anything like it. They're more like into study peace. And their original homeworld was destroyed. Well, it is devastated by the Sith thousands of years earlier. But there's also another downfall about his people. That's that the Jindai, they would eventually suffer from some brain degenerated condition, would make them go insane, like violently. And that is one thing you don't want to mess around with. There's like the Wookiees. They can rip your arm off if you really piss them off that much. In fact, since the Wookiees are much deadly enemies to their neighbor species, the Trandoshians, like these lizard ones. If Chewbacca would rip off one of those Trandoshians' arms, and legs, or both arms, those arms would eventually regenerate back as normal. But it will take days. I think it's either a few days to almost a week or so for the arms growing backwards. Like it's like based on the real life lizards. They can regenerate the tail or legs like that. And a Wookiee, like I said, you don't want to even to try to mess around with those if you're really able to piss them off. um, but in Star Wars the Clone Wars, we are actually seeing only a few Wookiees as a Jedi. They are apparently a rare species among the Jedi. But there were one named Gunji that was a youngling. There were questions like, what happened to him after the Clone Wars ended? Did he was killed off by the rest of Jedi? Turns out he wasn't at all. Turns out he actually survived at least in the beginning of the Great Jedi Purge. He will appear in the next Star Wars Bad Batch season. And I was like, wow. I mean, okay, first of all, he's actually a badass character. Since the Wookiees are a badass species of within the galaxy there, like a lifespan of 400 years, okay? It's like, I mean, Chewbacca, he in Star Wars canon, he is 235 years old. But in Legends or Expanded Universe, he was only 225 years when he died. He died in the Legends. But like I said, after Disney bought the rights of the Star Wars rights, they changed a lot of details within Star Wars. Like in Legends, Chewbacca died, but in canon, he didn't. Leia and Han, they had 3 kids, 2 sons and 1 daughter, but in canon, only 1 son. But the only one thing they made a comment: both sons from the Legend, one son from Legend and canon, went to the dark side, and also went the same fate. They died. But here's another thing: Leia and Han actually had at least a granddaughter from their oldest son. And it's just Star Wars itself has changed over the past few years since a lot of those Disney added. I mean, I don't mind. But the funny part is that when the first movie was released, the movie company never believed that Star Wars was going to be a big hit at all. And so when George Lucas asked them for the rights for the merchandise like T-shirts, cup mugs, toys, anything and only for only a short, small amount, and I don't tell you, the company actually sold the rights, which they made a big failure, They didn't even get to realize until after the movies came out. Oh boy. Because today, even though that George Lucas sold the rights to Star Wars to Disney, but he still owned the sole rights to the merchandise. Anything. And today, it is worth around, I think it was $1 or $3 billion. Just imagine that. Oh my god. That's just hilarious, isn't it? It's like selling the rights. They sold the rights of merchandise to George Lucas for a small amount of money. I think it was probably a few $100 or maybe a few $1,000. And now he has the full rights to all of that, and it's worth from between $1 to $3 billion. Like, oh my god, they really miss out a big profit earned from there. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's got the same thing as like for Star Trek. Star Trek have been around since the late '60s, and there have been multiple series like Star Trek Enterprise, Deep Space Nine, um, the original series, the cartoon version of the original series, and oh boy, there has been so many Star Trek movies and series. Oh boy, I don't know to tell you. And it's like Star Wars and Star Trek had huge impact in the sci-fi community around the world. This might surprise you though. Um, this actually what the Jedi is. There is, in fact, a religion on Earth based on Jedi, and it actually has, I believe, is I don't remember which country in the world that has the highest members of this the Jedi religion, but I believe if I remember, it had around was either 14 or 20,000 people that was part of that community as a religion. Surprising enough, I mean, um, there's only one planet which is Star Wars, which technically would not be impossible in even our world, which is Coruscant, the galactic capital planet. Even the planet is same size as Orm, but in reality, it wouldn't even be possible because that planet has 1 trillion people. 1 trillion. And Earth has 8 billion. Well, technically though, that Coruscant, that the surf that we're seeing on the city on the planet is actually not the real surface. I mean, Coruscant has been they actually have built cities on top of cities. Like they have built, I think it was 5,127 levels of cities on top of each other. And the lowest level on that Coruscant, I think, is level 4, which is the least habitable that you can actually live on. If you want to go to original, like level 0, like the actual ground, you won't even be they were like pitch black. And I would not be surprised if that in the surface have any native life forms that is really mutated. And that's just mm-mm. It's impossible for a planet which for that. I mean, well, considering at um, how much the industry, but it could be possible if yeah, but I still don't think that Earth will ever be could support a population of like 1 trillion like Coruscant did. Nope. Uh, I don't mind of that though, but one day we need to realize that we can't continue to increase our population in order to what to make sure our species won't go extinct. Well, the problem is we are already draining the resources on the natural resource on the planet, like oil, and with the next several years, in fact, will already being depleted. There will only be as a strain resources for fresh water and even available fertile soil that you can actually grow stuff on. There have been some very much new thinking of ideas to transform major cities like New York, Washington D.C., basically anywhere that has skyscrapers, that it will be having gardens on the roofs, and that every single tall building, skyscrapers or big like apartment sized building will have entire surface covered in solar panels. And that energy during the summer will be stored underground. And When the winter will arrive, it will then store that heat and use in the homes, which is actually not a bad concept, actually. But it's just that. It's just an idea. There were even one idea to build a tower in New York. I believe it around the same size as Freedom Tower, around 1,700 feet. The entire surface will be covered in drones. I mean, actual drones. And they will be in the tower will be the drones uh, charger, and those drones will be used in multiple uh, divisions, like post service, like for Amazon or local newspapers, or even I don't know. I mean, the drones itself actually have been a huge progress in many different fields, like firefighting. Some specialized design of drones can actually fly in the fires to measure how safe, how far enough the fire has been spreading. And the police, they also using the drones to locate missing people, which is also not a bad thing, considering that if they're going to search in a forest, if the forest it goes 10 miles in both directions, and it's like, say, if it's like a square, a forest, like to say, if the forest is 10 miles in length, and the short sides are, say, 5 miles, and if finding a person in that dense forest, otherwise, probably like a needle in a haystack. Especially even though the person, if the even the local police force has, say, maybe has 40 officers, and of course willing uh, civilians in order to find a lost person, but it still would be enough. So if the police are be using drones in order to find missing people, especially like elderly, is actually not a bad idea. It actually has helped a lot of people. Well, not only that, they also for searching for missing people, but also for helping to locate maybe robbers or bank robbers, something like that. In not a bad idea either. I mean, the drones have been the technology had been a great help within many different departments, like the police and the firefighters, and also in Africa, which has been helping where to keep an eye on the not rhinos, the elephant herds to maintain for poachers. And yeah, but if you will live in my country and you want to have a drone, those with a camera on, yeah, the problem is you can actually have that. But for them, you couldn't even before even you got one. Before you have to use it, you would need a license, a driver license. That one, it's uh, it's probably for the best because not that long ago, I think it was about a month ago, um, a lot of Russians, a lot of the spots around in Norway were actually targeted by drones. They were circling around power plants and other military installations, facilities, which is off limits, and their airspace is restricted. But towards some drones, and this might be shocking to you that this actually happened in my own country. We have these cameras along the streets, along the roads that will be take a picture of your license if you're driving too fast. And a lot of those cameras along in the Stockholm, in the capital city's region, has been stolen. I mean, literally, someone actually opened behind those cameras, removed the camera section, just the camera itself, and sold it to Russia so they can use that part of drones. What? You mean? Are you kidding me? Putting a camera, recording cameras in a drone? Okay, I mean that at least that was told from my parents, or but but at the same time, I can't confirm if that is actual real happened. It was almost a lot of speculation there, um, but yeah, I mean, I actually once saw this drone um, in on a website of a for a store. Um, One it took, which is just a more basically a normal standard drone. It took maybe in half an hour to recharge this battery. It can fly around for I think it was 10 or 15 minutes. But then there was a bigger standard one with a camera on it. That one, um, it can fly around it from maybe as between 10, I believe it's around 8 to 12 minutes for it. But if you had to recharge that one, it take 1 hour. It's like you have to recharge a drone that can only fly for barely like 10 minutes, and then had to recharge it for 1 hour. It's
That's
like,
ridiculous.
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, that's just insane price. It's like, why in the world would you buy a drone? That's the You can fly for maybe like, okay, if you could fly it for like 10 to 15 minutes, but still it requires 1 hour to recharge, or even a half an hour. Okay, if it was 20 minutes to recharge its full battery, okay, that's fine. This is 20 minutes rather than an hour. It's like, why? And they aren't even that cheap either. There are smaller drones that is are like toys. They they probably don't just they don't even have to be recharged, but they requires like a double D or triple A batteries. Okay, that makes sense. But having those drones, what you have, if there's a camera on, like you really have to spend 1 hour to recharge it, and then it's fully recharged. Okay, I'm gonna fly around in my neighborhood in the vicinity for 10 minutes. Like, oh, all right, I have to land it. Go home, recharge for another. Wait, another 60 minutes to have it recharged. I mean, are you really crazy? And I mean, especially if your parents spend that kind of say, if your parents spend say $400 to $500 for a drone that has a camera on it, and it's like you were like, woo, hooba, 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 this is excited. And people were like super excited, ecstatic to have your own camera drone, and you can fly around in the neighborhood saying, okay, kind of cool. And you realize and you find out in the manual says I had to spend 1 hour to recharge his battery, and I can only fly for like 10 to 15 minutes. And you were like, that's a waste of time. And and if they're and you probably ask your parents like, did you know about this? That my drone had to recharge for 1 hour. I can only use it for like 10 to 15 minutes each time. And if your parents didn't even know about it, it's like, and they spend $300 to $400 on it. Like, yeah, that is a lot of money to be honest. But if there were a drone that was no camera on it, and like you can fly around for 10 to maybe it's between 10 and 15 minutes for, and only need to recharge it for maybe had to wait 25 to half an hour. Yeah, that makes sense. But if there was a drone with a camera on, and that you could fly around between 10 to 15 minutes, but you had to spend 20 minutes in order to recharge it. That is worth the money. But if you had to spend 1 hour in order to wait for this entirely recharged, that's crazy. I mean, okay, think about those drones, the unmanned drones that the army, the military has been used across the world, like those with bombs on. Just imagine those like, okay, we have to land those drones and recharge you for another 20 minutes, an hour to fly another. That would have been crazy. I mean, there is no right minds. If you have a drone that you can fly around with a camera on it, I mean, the idea of having, and you have this on the remote, you can have it, I believe you actually can put the phone on it and it's sending a live feed from a drone to a camera and it's remote. You can actually see from an iBird's view, from a bird views, and it's like seeing the distance. Say, from like people can be using that type of things. Like say if like okay, let's say if your mom discovered there is a leak in the ceiling, and if you have a drone, and she asks you if you could probably use the drone to see closely on the roof if there's any signs of any damage, unless that you have to go up on the roof, and if you're afraid of heights and you can't do it your own, but having a drone is actually not a bad idea. Considering then at least you could stand on the safety on the ground and have the drone looking around the ceiling for any. You can land. You can hover the drone close to the ceiling, maybe 4 to 5 inches away from it, and seeing, oh, that worked. I located the damage to the roof, and then your mom uh, can contact a local company to fix it. That's easy. But I mean, like I said, the drones a huge had been a huge selling part for mostly for kids. But if your parents asked you if you want to have a drone, what would you even tell them?
I'd probably say a maybe.
Yeah, even my parents were like, if I ask them if they're gonna buy me a drone, like, and they probably ask me why. I mean, what's the reason for doing that? Like I said, if I would have a drone with a camera on, I would have to apply for the license or driver license for that one, and I was really surprised. And I even found out on at work last week. Actually, no, earlier this week that during New Year's Eve, I believe it was in Germany, they didn't had fireworks, but they actually had 25 drones that was equipped with LED lights. Like they were literally equipped with lamps. I think you know what this LED lights is, right?
Yeah.
They were equipped with those type of lights, and they were changing colors. And there were 4 people that was commanding. They were controlling 25 drones, and they have an orchestra playing music, and the drones were actually on sync with the musicians changing colors in the right at the same time, and that was quite cool if you ask me. Though I was like, "Whoa!" I mean, the idea of having lights that's been actually has been considering as being replacing the actual fireworks. A lot of countries around the world has been considering to ban fireworks because they're polluting the atmosphere, which I don't know why though. But also as a way to prevent fireworks from even cause damage. Every year on New Year's Eve or well any part when you're celebrating with fireworks, like say Independence Day, a lot of people can lose fingers or even have serious burns in the face. What happened? So having lasers to replacing the fireworks, well, it actually has been considered for most part around the world. Um, but if it's gonna be like in if the new, okay, not if Joe Biden, but another president says will make a law that will forbid any fireworks, and all those productions that makes fireworks will be, well, dissolved. Like, what about fireworks for the Independence Day? Since since I know that Independence Day are a huge part of American culture, because it symbolizes your independence, the day when your people became free from the British control. Not being as like they were like it marked your countries as more as a freedom as independent country. And ever since then, the firework has been a huge part of culture to celebrate your country's freedom. But how would you or your family react when they decide every time that from now on that Independence Day no fireworks being will that basically the fireworks will be banned for Independence Day, that every single fireworks show will be done with lasers? How that affect you and your family?
Well, we'd be very disappointed.
Yeah, I mean that's used understatement. I mean, I wouldn't be. I mean, I would have been surprised if that a lot of people would make their own fireworks. I mean, my sister's boyfriend, many many years ago, he actually had taken one type of firework that was shaped as a green ball, and he had taken, I think it was 10 or 15 of those, opened them up, and put the powder in those. I believe it's actually we have in a camera. You know those small plastic cylinders where you have the film in.
Right?
Yeah, he put the powder in one of those small cylinders and borrowed a hole on the top of it, and took this diffuse, put it in the hole and light it, and boom, a makeshift firework. And my dad told me a story many, many years ago, but this was way before even I was born. I probably was in the sometimes in the 80s. He and his friend, an old friend of his apparently, um, but there was a time just before but that type of firework became illegal. They had actually went on the roof of the apartment building, and they lighted, and boom, and it's like huge explosion. It could have been heard for maybe miles, for several miles away, and the whole apartment building complex, every single window was like shaking all that explosion. I would not be surprised that it actually cracked on the windows or even smashed on the windows. And I have seen some fireworks that actually was so powerful that some people put them in the toilet to boom, like toilet breakers. Oh man. Do you remember from Home Alone 2? One, where Kevin put this type of fireworks, or the firecrackers in this pot right by the door.
Right?
That type of firecrackers, I have never seen those in my country, but I mean, it does seem like when this Mark, the more idiotic one. Oh my god, that's a classic. He actually believes there was someone actually got killed in there. uh, I mean, my mama still likes it, despite has seen those movies hundreds of times, but it's still funny each single time. Um, of all the Home Alone, which one is your favorite?
Probably the first.
Mm, yeah, same here. I mean, Home Alone 2, um, not bad. I mean, the first Home Alone was actually released.
I know. You know what's shocking about Home Alone 2? It has a
What
ca-
did that be?
it has a cameo from President Crackass. I mean Trump.
Oh yeah,
So don't
that's
worry
Home
about it.
Alone 2. Oh, I actually heard this. I actually read about this. When Trump was the president, Canada, they actually broadcasted the movie on their national TV, but Trump, yeah, he never appeared in the movie because they cut that scene off. uh yeah, Home Alone franchise. The first movie was released 1990. The second was 1992. Home Alone 3, 97. Home
Or
Alone.
perhaps President Crackerjack.
Yeah, but here's another thing though. Home Alone 4, 2002. Home Alone: The Holiday Heist, 2012. Home Sweet Home Alone, 2021. So they actually made 6 movies. Oh, according to this, also an R-rated 7 film intended to be directed by Augustine Frizzle and enter development hell. So apparently there were a 7th movie, a Home Alone, R-rated, supposed to be in development, but sadly it went down the drain. But
Well, not really. Development hell is a term when something, usually a video game or a movie, they both share the phrase. So either or. When something takes a really, really, really long time to develop, it's usually called development hell. Like they can't come up with anything at all. That's usually what it means.
that makes sense. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, but I prefer the first and the second movie. Or actually Home Alone 2 and
Yeah.
1 and 2. But I hadn't even seen the fourth and the sixth one. I mean, I hadn't seen the fourth, fifth, and sixth movie.
Well, talking about development hell for a second, the only example I can think of for something like that would be there was a series called Duke Nukem. It had a game like on the SNES, I believe, and then the N64, and then it never got another one until like what was the last game that came out? It was like 2001, I believe, and then the third one or like the fourth one came out in like 2015. So that was a 14-year long development cycle. So that's like the general, like, I guess, time frame of development hell. It's usually like longer than 10 years is how long I'd say it would normally be. 15 is usually the cap of 10 or 15 is usually the cap of minimum. So if that makes sense.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's just crazy to seeing as how this that movies are, how things turn out in the end. Without many generations for since has almost 30 years, and that has been like what almost 2 or 3 generations of people around the world has been experienced. Even the first movie was made 1990. We were having this boy was home with measles. That one was actually good. Having a parrot that's talking, and near the end with the robbers, with measles. uh, and having the guy having that rat in his pants, like and this female robber or intruder, Alice, try to use a hockey clamp or hockey stick or something, and he didn't even know about the rat in his pants, and it's like, and Alice smashed the hockey stick right in the groin, like, ew. And especially when the father comes home, finding a whole house being renovated, being remodeled. I think it's probably as a thanks from both the FBI and the Air Force, since the ship belonged to the Air Force, which I would believe was the Korean spies who took it. And then after hiding it in a toy, okay, that's actually not a bad as a it's actually kind of genius way to hide it as fast as possible. But the problem is that but they didn't expect that. Uh, Slight detail of that they probably would even have chosen a very much popular toy at the time because if that toy had like millions of copies, so they had like screw up. But Home Alone 1 and 3 second movie when having this homeless woman actually first when Kevin was a genuine moment that she gave the audience her brief story about how she used to have a home that she was once married and that her husband under was I believe that he cheated on her or something and it was just shocking. House as a way for away from people and that people prefer to not to say that every single homeless people are bad. Some are not. It depends on how they are. But Home Alone 2 is actually not a bad movie, especially when Kevin is trying to escape from the hotel, like having the same clip from the first movie on playing like you have been here like and you're when he mentioned the name Cliff and everyone looked at I believe it's the not the janitor but um it's one of the staff actually named Cliff and it's like that's not true. Yeah, I mean the second movie I mean based on how they were in the movies I mean I've seen two clips on YouTube, three actually, where a doctor or not the doctors actually they reacted to the movies of those when the first two were the robbers, Marv and his friend, um, the injuries they sustained over from the movies, how serious they were, especially the time when Marv opened the door, I believe it was the second movie, and he fell almost 2 floors down on the basement concrete floor. That would have killed him. But, you know, movie logic, you survive no matter what kind of injuries, especially one's movie in the second movie. Um, Marv's colleague, he had this, had, he had his head burning on fire with a flame, and he using this toilet and poof, it thought it was water in it, but it was actually some flammable. But the same guys actually appeared back in the fourth movie, or was the fifth movie. I mean, I
Nice
think that
timing
the
there, Phil.
second and the first movie are are the best. What?
I said nice timing there, phone.
I mean,
Sarcastically, as I try to figure out what this is all about.
yeah, I mean, yeah, and I mean the first and second movie of Home Alone. Yeah,
Right.
hmm. I mean, if they were to make a TV series on the, I mean, wouldn't be surprised if they actually made a TV series on or anything like it. I mean, Home Alone has always been one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just, hey, Christmas is a special around. Yeah, cat meowing. Great. Yeah, I mean, the movies has always been a huge part. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
So, what your brothers up to?
They both went to my aunt's.
Ah, and you didn't
Nope.
because your stomach hurts. So,
Yeah, that's pretty much the reason. It is feeling better, but
yeah, it's probably best to not go. Yeah, it was probably not best. Probably the best idea not to go because you never know. Because if you just ah, that'll be fine. But the next, yeah, start foaming up. Yeah, that's yeah, best of being no particular precautions. Yes, the case. Yeah, I mean, like even it wouldn't be in any serious, but always best to take the precaution just in case. I may wonder, had the package arrived yet or not? Still waiting for my girlfriend's package for Christmas
postal
gifts.
so postal service
Hasn't even
isn't it
arrived
great?
yet. Well, yeah, I mean, it actually has arrived to Sweden, actually. Interesting. Has been proceeded through custom. Um, last time was international transit, which has been proceed through facility, but it's guaranteed. That's not a guarantee that some package will even arrive in time. And since my dad ordered something for me for Christmas, well, it won't arrive to Wednesday, the 28th. And what is? No freaking clue. I mean, okay, my dad posted a package that I get. The funny thing is actually it left the post office here, somewhere between my town and the last place that they were supposed to leave the country, it this declaration, where it's the like a paper part that says the value of the contents. It was ripped off, so they couldn't send the package to anyways since uh, they wouldn't even know where how much the value of the package contents. So instead, they sent it back to my to my hometown, and Dad picked it up and he put another declaration this time and sent it away the next has left the country and presumably is in any way somewhere. But yeah, I don't know. At least my girlfriend gave me the barcode for her package. She was originally planning to send some stuffed animals for my nieces and nephew, but she had to remove that from the package since it would have been cost a little bit more for her to be sending it. And since our family was very much tight on budget, so she instead, along with her mom, decided to remove those stuffed animals from the package and basically under gifts that are supposed to be my parents and my brother and sister. So just going to be gifts for me instead. So I mean, I told my parents about this and even my sister. And they weren't. They were. So well, animals to her two younger cousins. One is, I think, 3 or 4 years old, and the youngest is a couple months old. And honestly, though, I don't mind. I mean, a pull of this is like something that her two younger cousins can actually enjoy to play around with the stuffed animals. And my dad, he was supposed to sending it the package to first, but let's say it was for the past few years, yeah, so only a few years ago, the post service or the custom service actually made some changes in with the some laws or rules. Certain amount that was we wasn't even aware of this new change in the rules. It was until after that we had to spend 500, to pay the tools, the fees to have it been released for the customs so I could actually get it. So the package what we were sent this year cost 750. Remove some things from it to probably possible lower the cost as much as possible. He actually lowered with 250 in the money cost, which is a good thing. And he had to spend like 800 otherwise. So he spent like say almost I think it was probably like 10, but then he had to spend another few hundred to then resend it back. Well, the second time was not because of his fault. Like I said, it was the decoration paper on it or sticker
First the money. All right, one
was
second.
ripped off. So well, sometimes that can be no pain. I'm a little bit surprised that no one else showed up here yet. Like Google, Malachi, Deanna, or others. But that's not surprising since they celebrate Christmas today. You know, Christmas has always been a big, huge part of my life. Did your family celebrate any different traditions when you were younger?
I have no idea actually.
I mean, when you were younger, if your family had any particular traditions, like say for I don't know, like say watch any Christmas special movies,
Not that I can
or
remember.
or hey, my memory's bad.
Welcome to my life.
Yeah, same here. I mean, well, my family do have some traditions actually. For Christmas, we well, well, my dad isn't since he prepared the last of the food at a time each time, and after that we have dinner. After that, we usually wait an hour or two, or just or this time it's like 20 minutes to open the gifts. It was not bad actually. It's just I got a lot of candy, licorice, yummy, yummy, yum, yum. Um, but the day before Christmas, me and my mom, we watching this TV lottery kind of way. Um, this they actually had this show on TV for an entire year, but they only had two times of the year, like for the day before Christmas until like midnight, where they are ill. If you're lucky enough, you can win from 250,000 or 1 million, or as the most 2 millions, and even a car. But I wouldn't been able to pick it out since I don't have a license. It's to my parents like if I would have won a car on this, I wouldn't been able to pick it out at all. Due to the fact that I don't have a license, but the it's a loophole in that idea. I could always give that lottery to my parents, to my mom or dad, so they can pick it out. Um, you can actually um, either keep it. Also, oh, how about that? If you had a double lottery ticket or a triple, if you want one of this actually did happen. A guy, he had a triple lottery. He won three cars and 750,000. Shocking enough. And last year, one guy he did win 40,000 on Christmas, on the day before Christmas, and he even played on the New Year's Eve. And he was called into this to the TV station at the time, and he won 2 million less than a week. That's insane. I mean, in this particular year, when we were playing, me and my mom were playing for that, I was only one number away to win 100,000, and my mom was like one number away from winning car, and I also was two numbers away from to win 1 million. I never did. I only played once many years ago. That was probably 14 when I did one 500. But that was the only time I did. We have been talking about which will make so I will make this overnight /game show stream on the day before New Year's Eve. Kind of an early one. I will ask around, see how many others will be able to join this time. For let's sake, let's hope that Roy doesn't. Agreed.
Let's hope that Roy what?
I mean, if we would do another game show, and let's hope Roy doesn't end up partner with Kubo this time again, based on his track records.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, like Kubo just left like twice. Great, Kubo. Yeah, I'm surprised that no one else had shown up though. I mean, Cody was. He said, "Sorry, they kicked me out. I'm just going to be on here. It's online." But I think they're not surprising though. Diana said something yesterday about come on, what was it? She was helping her mom to make on Christmas cookies and just that she just got done. Yeah, that was pretty much it. And just small talk, but and I understand why my girlfriend is almost never join in the streams. Because of the drama that has been happening in the past few times. My girlfriend, she never joins in because of the drama that's
Because of the what?
happening. You know, the time with the drama. You know, when
Yeah, you're
there,
glitching out a little bit on my end, but I think that might be because I might have too many things going on my computer. 1 second. Can I get this stupid thing to work? Probably not. Because it's technology and it's me, so.
Well, let's say that my girlfriend isn't never joined in because due to the fact that all that drama has been happening.
Can't say I blame her.
She doesn't want to be part of any drama. I can say I don't blame her on that part.
Neither do I, dude.
No one likes drama. Well, except drama queens.
Yeah, I can only think of one person that's a drama queen, and her name rhymes with Borora. I couldn't come up with anything.
Oh yeah. Based on how many times the drama has been affecting my streams, it's like, for freaking sake. It's like, yeah, it's like not happy about it. But what can you do? Drama always happens no matter what you do. Who knows? This will be free from drama as much as possible.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's not fun at all. much enjoy drama, but some people don't. It depends, of course, on who it is causing drama. I mean, I don't mind talking to people. It just they should always remember if you want to start any, if you want to start drama, don't. But it's there are sometimes people causing drama on purpose, but sometimes people causing drama not even on purpose. It can just be on accident, and that's understandable. Especially if someone talks about something and say if let's say same if Google said something or joke that some of my friends could take that as an insult or something, which is understandable. It's like if someone were to stop talking about talked about something about say something about someone had Afro American descent or something that some people those people are crazy, stupid, or the most ones to fall into crimes. As some people would say, like, or if they mentioned the N word, Cody doesn't like it since he is part black. Uh, African Americans they don't like that other people use the N word. To them, it's an insult, which I cannot stand. Pretty much will. And when it comes to like the people with other descents, like like I said, Cody is part black, or at least small portion, and he doesn't tolerate anyone to mention anything, which is fine to understand. I mean, he probably would give Solomon's permission to use the word if we could trust enough, but I wouldn't even have used the word otherwise around any other, well, African Americans or black skinned people. Not because I want to sound as a racist or something. It just is it's one of the words that you don't mention around them. Just precautions. I mean, I don't even know for people of other nationalities, say Irish, British, Scottish, or something like that either. I know that you are part Scottish, British, Swedish, part of that, and imagine that there's any word, particularly that was considered as an insult to Swedish people, at least what I know of. Did you know there were one Swedish American that actually landed on the moon? Did you know that there were a Swedish American had been on the moon?
Oh, that's cool.
Did you know that?
I did not up until now.
Well, Apollo 11 Buzz Aldrin. He was apparently a Swedish American, and I didn't know that until like a few years ago. Sadly, I believe it Buzz Aldrin is the last of the crew on Apollo 11 alive. I think. Um, I know that Neil Armstrong is dead. He passed away a couple years ago. Apollo 11. But Buzz Aldrin, he's probably in his 80s or 90s by now. Even though some people say the moon landing never happened, it was staged the whole time. Conspiracy. And even though this, John Kennedy, or John F. Kennedy, he said in a speech, quote, before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon returning safely him or 1961 or 62 in a speech. President set a man on the moon before the end of the 1960s. Sadly, he never been able to see what happened. Michael Collins. Oh, yeah, he was the one on the part never landed on the moon. But he died April 28, 2021, last year. Only 90 years old. So apparently, Buzz Aldrin is the one left of the original crew.
Yeah, I have no idea though.
I probably would. Well, maybe not the actual space, so maybe to as far as to maybe to be part of the orbit for I don't know a few minutes maybe. It will still count. Yeah, I'm actually surprised how. I mean, considering it, all this space exploration always a thing to start of Sputnik 1. That's surprising though. Sputnik 1 was the this final marker of the start of the space exploration. Honestly, before the first so I can tell this. No one didn't even believe any other planets actually existed outside our own system. Despite the science fiction movies, shows like Star Trek and Star Wars, they didn't believe other planets did exist. But then in the late 90s, shocking, the first confirmed exoplanet was discovered. It's quite amazing, how all this space development led us to. Like, discover a system like the on Titan, which has lakes, rivers, oceans, not by water, but actual liquid methane. Quite surprising, all honestly. But if you could be going to any planet, where will you go?
I'd probably say Saturn.
Hmm. Personally, uh, yeah, that's tricky. Either Mars or Pluto. In or dwarf planets.
The way I see it, it was a Pluto. It was a planet once, and ever since it was called a planet, that's what it's been.
Yep.
You can't
Yeah, and
change the
here
definition of something after you already define it. So
Jupiter's biggest moons, like say Ganymede, which is the largest moon. If it actually had taken Venus' place in orbit, not a moon.
yeah, that's how all the
Do you
moons
believe
would
it's
work.
could actually be? Technically, not all. I mean, if Venus' place has been replaced by Luna or a moon, uh, it wouldn't count. It's too small because it's a little bit smaller than Pluto. Since its International Astronomical Union
Is it Mercury
has
smaller than Pluto?
had actually set up some rules. Don't think so. Probably is bigger
I
than
actually, hang on.
since, like I
It's
said, the international.
bigger
I mean, I know
Pluto.
that it's not at the International Astronomical Union is has set the rules
That's a
that
yes. All right.
certain requirements for an object to count. I mean, there is those requirements that would requires for an object to count as a planet, like the size and certain orbit, especially the size. Even the biggest asteroid, Ceres, was actually classified as a planet shortly after discovery, but only for a few years until it was once again reclassified as or recategorized as an asteroid. But now it's a dwarf planet, so in a way, could call it a planet. I mean, there has always been discussions like if there's the ninth planet, it's like okay, planet X, apparently, if the supposed exists further away from Pluto's orbit, it would actually would be in almost I believe it was could have been 2 or almost 5 times larger than Earth. And another reason why they made Pluto as a dwarf planet is because the other planets, none of them had its orbit crossed by any other planets. Pluto is the only planet crossing Neptune's orbit. So that's one of the reasons why one of the reasons why they decided to make Pluto as a dwarf planet. And there were some discussions. What if there could be an undersurface ocean on Pluto? Um, that would have been almost impossible otherwise, since the distance between Pluto and the Sun. If you were standing on Pluto, you would even the size of the Sun would be like just almost like saying if you're standing on Earth, looking at one of the stars in the sky, it's almost like that, just maybe a little bit bigger. You were like a distant star, nothing more. So the sun's light wouldn't be strong enough to even to make any surface on the moon's or the surface on the Pluto to melt to form any liquid ocean. But this is possible because the heart-shaped area on Pluto was actually considered as um, younger, so it's possible it could exist. Considering, like say, Europa, which is one of the biggest moon of Jupiter, consists entirely surface of ice. They think it maybe as 1 mile thick of ice, which an estimate of up to 100 miles deep oceans on that particular moon. And even if there are life on Europa, there would not be as much. They would more likely be blind, like fish, maybe jellyfish creatures. But in the sci-fi movie Europa Report, it's said to be home to some sort of squid-like colossal squid creature under the surface, under the ice. That's I don't think it's even possible. No, but nothing is impossible to be honest.
Yeah.
Life on, but life on other parts in our system. Well, um, I think Europa is pretty much highly qualified as potentially to be the closest object that could have life. Um, you may think, being asked, do you think life can exist on Venus?
No.
Pretty much no. Not on the surface, no. Until like a year ago, I believe. I think it's a year ago when they did actually discovered some some sort of molecules in upper atmosphere, which can only been produced by a biological process. So they published this, I believe it was in Nature or Science. Sadly, for one detail, not all experts did believe it. They some believe there could have been some sort of geological process, but that's the problem. It you didn't even know. I mean, if you send a probe to Venus, sure, the upper atmosphere couldn't survive, but in the lower, no. Um, but even on the moon, Enceladus around Saturn, which also an ice moon, it actually had been confirmed to have oceans, at least in the south, around the South Pole part. Thanks to the geysers, which has been spotted, but potential life on Titan. It's kind of surprising this were any. I mean, if they discovered life forms, I mean, they had discovered that the surface contained some of the building blocks for life to exist. So, if life would somehow have evolved, would may say not as carbon based like we are, it could have been methane based life form. I mean, the entire environment, the atmosphere, consists of methane and ethane atmosphere. So a methane-based life form, not entirely possible. I mean, we have discovered that some life forms, everyone think that since carbon is the most common atoms or element in the universe, you think, oh, every single life forms on every planet on we find are carbon-based. Nope. Universe, there have been discovered some life forms being silicon based, just that. And even like the Vulcans, they actually have green blood, based which is copper based. not carbon or iron based. So life forms in the universe not necessarily have to be carbon based. They can be sulfur, methane, or even silicon based. So it's a possibility encounter another intelligent life form that's encounter an intelligent life form, maybe not humanoid form, but something. And if we had to go to their planet, we would need some sort of breathing mask so that we can breathe our own, because we can't survive in an atmosphere which is sulfur. What if this entire planet just have intelligent life forms and they are kind of able to breathe? We would suffocate immediately. It's like in the Avatar, the movies, Pandora. Pandora looks like and it's like a normal Earth-like world, like oxygen, green, blue surface. And if you just step out the transport liner, you will 4 minutes after, because the atmosphere contains more. So even if we were to find another world that looks like Earth, we should not always expect to find a rich atmosphere of oxygen. They can be sulfur or maybe a more carbon atmosphere that we can even breathe. But the big question to answer: are we alone? If it's like if we found a fish or a jellyfish on Europa, it answered the long times question: are we alone? It doesn't necessarily require that we have an intelligent life. Any outside Earth life would still count. Okay, finding I don't know a plant, like finding some sort of um, a green plant on Mars still counts as alien life form. It's not like that is not being planted on Mars by anyone. It's like finding life on a different moon or a planet that's not from Earth. I mean, unfortunately, we don't ever expect to find any life. I mean, we never find any life, no matter what we go. The question is like, are we completely unknown? That's is crazy though, if you ask me. Like, why would Earth be the only known planet in the whole freaking universe that contains life? We well, when as far as we know that there are billions of planets in our own galaxy, and despite we find so far we have found probably dozens of habitable zones where that contain planets, but none of them prove to have even non-life whatsoever. Think about it. If we were the only planet in the universe, and despite we send out probes, radio signals to find any answers of the question if you are alone or not, and despite we have made movies,
Hmm.
Earth a freaking accident or something, or was this just the most person supposed to be it's having life? I would have been shocked we'd never find any life. Think about it. It's like good thinking for that part. Yeah, I mean, life itself. Question: Are we alone in the universe? Hope we're not. I mean, it's just people have been asking the same question for decades, probably over almost a quarter century by now. Just imagine, like, your parents are like, "Are we alone?" And you probably ask them the same question, like, "Are we alone?" And your kids in the future, like, "Are we alone?" And your grandchildren, like, "We are not alone. We have found life in space." It's like three generations been asking the same questions, like, "Are we alone?" Until the fourth actually confirmed we are not alone. That's it's a bummer. Otherwise, just I really hope that we can find some form of signs of life in the universe. Not necessarily meaning it has to be intelligent, but I mean, if it were intelligent, that would be kind of cool. Just let's hope at least. Wow, 2 hours and 2 minutes so far. Probably go for another few minutes until I end.
All right.
I mean, since no one else has apparently want to join in, so and my dad just went to bed, so I don't want to keep doing this too long. And I also wanted to, since I wanted to keep as much hours left until I can do this overnight stream slash game shows on the day before New Year's Eve, which I really hope that some of my friends could be able to join, like say Malachite, Lord, perhaps someone else. I mean, I'm not so will be there.
I kind of wish we could do it on the actual like New Year's Eve.
Yeah, I would, but since I mean, if I did, well, that would be probably like, I mean, if I did, I probably would do it on like probably uh, maybe only a few minutes after midnight for my end.
Hmm.
And yeah, my dad would not have been happy if he went to bed and hear me keep talking in the mic, even though like he was like, "It's 4 in the morning. Go to bed." Happened on the actual New Year's Eve. Since I don't know if me and my parents are going to play this TV lottery that I mentioned earlier on the New Year's Eve, since it starts 8 p.m. and ends at midnight. I mean, I could, but at the same time, I mean, I don't even know if my parents actually going to play it on that. Well, well, I'll ask them later on though. But just I don't want to make any false promises. If you know, but if I would be able to do it, I could always probably ask my girlfriend if she wants to join in. If she could. I don't even know if she even had any plans for New Year's Eve with her family. Well, here and it's just has already been 2 hours and 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes. It's a bummer that most people haven't even been able to join in, but I can't blame them since technically technically it's still Christmas for you guys. I mean,
Yep.
until he was kicked out, and Retro Gamer was here for a pretty time as well. But yeah, so well, this has been a good time though, honestly. So, well, everyone, this has been Switch Cowboy signing off. Bye.
Bye.